Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the WGC Presents North America's Greatest Sports Town Tourney 2025 edition. What is that, you might ask? Well, the best way to describe what it is to explain how it works. So this is how it works. Step 1, we evaluate what are the top 6 sports in North America. And this year, currently, it's in order of how big they are. Number 1, NFL, no surprise. Number 2, NBA. Number 3, a close number 3, Major League Baseball. Number 4, the NHL. Number 5, Major League Soccer. And then number 6, the Canadian Football League. So once we establish the top 6 leagues in North America, we look at the last 4 years and their champions. Then based off of the most recency of those championships and the size of the league, we give out points to those cities, towns, and then based off of that, we create an East and a West bracket. So right now, let's go over the brackets. Alright, we start with the number 1 seed overall, and that is the city of LA. They got there via their NFL championship in 2021, plus 2 MLS championships, one in 2022 and one in 2024. They will be facing the number 8 seed, Atlanta, who get in based off their World Series win in 2021. The 4 and 5 seed in the West, Dallas/Arlington, who get in based off the Texas Rangers World Series in 2023, and the number 5 seed, Vegas, in based off their NHL championship in 2023. Then we go on to the 3 seed, Philadelphia, who get in on the Super Bowl they just won just a month ago in February 2025, just to be clear. And they will face the 6th seed, San Francisco, or in this case, Golden State, as they get in based off their 2022 NBA championship via the Warriors of Golden State. And then finally, the last matchup in the West, you have Denver as the number 2 seed off their 2022 NHL championship and their 2023 NBA championship. They will face Houston, the number 7 seed, who got in based off their MLB championship in 2022. Now, on to the East. The number 1 seed in the East is Toronto, who get in based off of their 2 Canadian Football League championships, one in 2022 and the next in 2024. They will play the 8th seed, Tampa, who get in based off their 2021 NHL championship. Moving on to the 4 and 5 seed, Miami is your number 4 seed based off their NHL championship in 2024. And they will play Columbus based off their MLS championship in 2023. On to the 3 and 6 seed. You have Boston as your number 3 seed based off their 2024 NBA championship. And they will face Montreal, who get in off of their Grey Cup championship. That's Canadian Football League for those who don't know, from 2023. Then finally, the last matchup in the tournament, the number 2 seed, Kansas City, who gets in off their 2023 and 2024 Super Bowls. Or wait, can I say that? I said Super Balls. Anyway, the KC's, the Chiefs, 2023 and 2024 NFL championships. And they will play number 7, Green Bay/Milwaukee. And they get in based off their Milwaukee Bucks championship in the NBA. Honorable mentions to New York, who almost got in off their MLS championship in 2021, and Winnipeg, who almost got into this tournament based off their CFL championship in 2021. But unfortunately, those two leagues are the lowest two leagues in our evaluation process of seeding. Next, we move on to when these teams are going to play and how that works. Alright, first things first. Every round in this tournament will have 3 months to have a game played. And we always use the first matchup between the two towns. We always start with the top 6 leagues. If we can't find a matchup in 3 months of those top 6 leagues, we'll go to other pro leagues. If we still can't find a matchup between those two towns in any other pro league, we'll move on to a simulation that most likely favors the higher seed. If we get to a simulation, we will air that simulation on BRITE Sports. Every other matchup, IRL matchup, we will most likely do a watch-along. Now, before we get into the seedings, I do have to tell you, 2 results have already been done, and another result will be done tonight. This is March 14th when this video goes up, and we will do a watch-along for that. But let's go over the games, or each matchup in this tournament. First off, Atlanta versus LA. That game is the game I mentioned a second ago that will be played tonight. That is the LA Clippers and Atlanta Hawks. And I know LA's the number 1 overall seed, and out of the 2 LA basketball teams, the Lakers would be the more favorable matchup for LA. But that's a give and take in this. When you're LA, you have 2 basketball teams, you have 2 football teams, you have more teams than other, so you have more chances to get a championship. But on the back end, you might have something like this, where your least of your teams is going to be representing you. So again, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time on BRITE Sports, we should be doing a watch-along for the LA Clippers and Atlanta Hawks. The next matchup, Houston and Denver, that will be on March 23rd as the Denver Nuggets play the Houston Rockets. Moving on to San Francisco and Philly. That is a result that's already been done. March 1st, those 2 cities matched up. And surprisingly, that matchup was the Golden State Warriors and the Philadelphia 76ers. And the Sixers aren't doing that well, but they pulled one out as they beat the Warriors 126-119. Philadelphia moves on to the next round, and they will play the winner of kind of the opposite situation of what we just had, as Vegas and Dallas do not have a matchup of any kind between March through May, but they could meet in the NHL playoffs. So, with that said, we're going to wait. If they do not play, let me back that. If they do play their playoff, and they play a playoff game before June, their first game, we will wait for that whole series to finish. So that matchup will be the whole 7-game NHL playoff series between Dallas and Vegas. If they do not play in the playoffs, NHL playoffs, then we will go to a sim of the NHL or WNBA, depending on which favors Dallas most. Just off the top of my head, seeing how good the Vegas Aces of the WNBA are, it's probably going to most likely be an NHL sim. So either way, it's probably going to be a hockey representation, but maybe WNBA, we will see. We will do probably bi-weekly updates on this tournament. Moving on to the East, the number 1 seed Toronto and number 8 seed Tampa. That game matchup will be represented by an April 9th matchup between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now moving on to Green Bay / Milwaukee versus Kansas City. That matchup will be at the end of March and going through April 2nd as the Kansas City Royals meet the Brewers in a 3-game series in the Major League Baseball. Now this is how it's going to work. It's a little tricky here. Best of 3, but if there's rain outs, so there's only 2 games, then that will be going to aggregate, as in who scores the most runs between the 2 games. If that aggregate is tied, then we go to the result of the first game. Yeah, a little complicated. Anyway, moving on to Montreal and Boston. That matchup will be represented by April 3rd matchup between the Boston Bruins and the Montreal Canadiens. And then finally, the Columbus-Miami matchup is the last matchup that has already been played. And that was represented on March 6th as the Columbus Blue Jackets face the Florida Panthers, who Florida Panthers play out of Miami, FYI. The Blue Jackets fall to the Panthers as the Panthers win 3-0, eliminating Columbus from the tournament. Now we will keep you updated on Back to Brag Sports social media, Back to Brag social media, depending if they have a Back to Brag Sports version. Join us from March 14th for the watch along of the I'm trying to remember, LA Clippers and Atlanta Hawks. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then follow along as we go through this tournament.